Many modern predatory birds have enlarged claws on their second toes, similar to those of their Paravian dinosaur ancestors, with Ceri Thomas being a particularly good example. Cacatuidae was a small Cariamiform, shaped incredibly similarly to those of dromaeosaurids and suggesting it may have had the same sort of big hyperextendable sickle claw. While it had sturdy legs and short wings, and probably spent a lot of time walking on the ground like other Cariamiforms, it was probably also still a fairly strong flyer based on the known anatomy of its arms and shoulders. Butenko, a flightless bird about 75 centimeters tall from the late Eocene and early Oligocene of United States. It was originally mistaken for a long-legged vulture when first discovered in the 40s, but later studies have shown it was actually one of the smaller members of the Butenko, close cousins of the more well-known South American terror birds, successfully occupying terrestrial predator niches alongside large carnivorous mammals. Terror birds were large, flightless birds with long hind limbs, narrow pelvises, proportionally small wings and huge skulls, with a tall, long, sideways compressed hooked beak. Lichen is the largest known phorusricid, 10% larger than its largest relatives known previously. 70 centimeters long, the holotype skull is the largest known of any bird, and has been likened to the size of a horse's skull. It differed from other phorusracids in features such as the length of its beak, in having a supraorbital ossification that fits into a socket of the postorbital process. Phorusracids are thought to have been ground predators or scavengers, and have often been considered apex predators that dominated Cenozoic South America in the absence of placental mammalian predators, though they did coexist with some large, carnivorous boreanid mammals. The long and slender tarsometatarsus of Lichen suggests that it could run faster than had previously been assumed for large phorusracids, and would have been able to chase down small animals. The wings of phorusracos also had sharp hooks that seemed to be more suited for gripping. These hooks have been suggested as being used to secure struggling prey as phorusracos dispatched it with its beak, but it is also possible that they may have had a use in combat between phorusracos individuals. In order for phorusracos to deliver a fatal strike, it would first have to catch its prey, something it was well adapted to do. While the wings were too small for flight, the legs were very long and powerful. Across open ground, phorusracos would have easily been capable of chasing and catching up smaller mammalian prey. In hunting, it may have stayed near thin outcroppings of shrubs and trees where its body form could more easily blend in with the tree trunks. Once prey approached close, it could then ambush it with devastating speed before it had time to react. Once prey was caught and killed, it probably used a combination of its sharp beak and the sharp claws of its feet to tear up the carcass so that it could be more efficiently eaten. In the late 90s there was a hypothesis that Titanes even re-evolved clawed hands. This idea was based on the wing bones, the only terror bird known to have dispersed northwards during the Great American Biotic Interchange when North and South America became connected via the Isthmus of Panama. Remains of its small wings were incomplete and fragmentary but had seemingly unusual joints, with what looked like a stiffer wrist and more flexible fingers than other birds, which led paleontologist Robert Chandler to propose in 1994 that this terror bird species had modified its wings into clawed grasping arms similar to those of dromaeosaurs, used to restrain prey animals while its beak tore them apart. However, further investigation in 2005 showed that Titanes' arms weren't that weird after all. Ecologically, the Ceri Thomas is the South American counterpart of the African secretary bird. They feed on insects and small vertebrates, with small amounts of plant food. When Ceri Thomas catch small reptiles, they beat the prey on the ground or throw it at a hard surface to break resistance and also the bones. If the prey is too large to swallow whole, it will be ripped into smaller pieces with a sickle claw by holding the prey in the beak and tearing it apart with the claw. Because of these feeding behaviors, Cerimas are important by eating detritivores and helping the soil get more nutrients from dead plant matter. In contact with humans, Cerimas are suspicious and if they feel threatened, usually spread their wings and face the threat. They walk in pairs or small groups. Although perfectly capable of flying, they prefer to spend most of their time on land. They take flight only when necessary, for example to escape a predator. Overnight they take shelter in the treetops, where they also build their nests. Generally, the red-legged Cerima is sedentary, although there are reports of temperature-related migrations. It is typically seen singly or in pairs, but occasionally in groups of up to 4 individuals, apparently families. The evolution of falcons is rather poorly understood. Thanks to genetic evidence we know that they're closely related to Cerimas, parrots and passerines, but their fossil record is patchy and little is known about the early members of their lineage. Daniel's raptor lived during the early Eocene. Although only known from partial remains, it had a large hooked beak with a surprising amount of convergent similarity to those of the flightless South American terror birds. Its mixture of falcon-like and Cerima-like features may indicate that the common ancestor of both of these bird groups was a similar sort of leggy ground-hunting predator. Jamaica is unusual among the Caribbean islands for having had relatively few predatory birds. One of the few known fossil species is Jamaican caracara that probably evolved in the mid-Pleistocene. It was similar in body size to larger individuals of its living relatives but was heftier built and had slightly longer legs, and its wings were reduced enough that it was either a very weak flyer or entirely flightless. A bold, opportunistic raptor, the crested caracara is often seen walking around on the ground looking for food. It mainly feeds on carcasses of dead animals, but steals food from other raptors, raids bird and reptile nests, and takes live prey if the possibility arises. It takes live prey that has been flushed by wildfire, cattle and farming equipment. Locally, it has even learned to follow trains or cars for food thrown out. The opportunistic nature of this species means that the crested caracara seeks out the phenomena associated with its food, wildfire. It is typically solitary, but several individuals may gather at a large food source. The order Falconiformes is represented by caracaras and falcons. Traditionally, the other bird of prey families Cathartidae or Accipitridae were classified in Falconiformes. But variety of comparative genome analysis found that falcons are part of a clade of birds called australaves, which also includes parrots and passerines. New Zealand is probably one of the most famous modern examples of a unique island ecosystem, having been isolated for the last 80 million years. One of the most recent discoveries from the St. Bathans fossil site is Hercules parrot, a close relative of the modern New Zealand parrots, but significantly larger than any living species, estimated to have stood almost 1 meter tall. At such a size it would likely have been flightless, although it may have still been capable of climbing trees and gliding. Much like the modern Kia, it was probably an omnivore, using its large curved beak and powerful crunching bite to eat pretty much whatever it wanted. The Kia is a species of large parrot found in the forested and alpine regions of the South Island of New Zealand. Its omnivorous diet includes carrion, but consists mainly of roots, leaves, berries, nectar and insects. Now uncommon, the kea was once killed for bounty due to concerns by the sheep farming community that it attacked livestock, especially sheep. The kea uses its powerful, curved beak and claws to rip through the layer of wool and eat the fat from the back of the animal. Though the bird does not directly kill the sheep, death can result from infections or accidents suffered by animals when trying to escape. The kea nests in burrows or crevices among the roots of trees. They are known for their intelligence and curiosity, both vital to their survival in a harsh mountain environment. Kea can solve logical puzzles, such as pushing and pulling things in a certain order to get to food, and will work together to achieve a certain objective. They have been filmed preparing and using tools. The bird's naturally trusting behavior around humans has also been indicated as a contributing factor in a number of recent incidents at popular tourist spots where kea have been purposely killed. Kakapoes have a combination of unique traits among parrots: finely blotched yellow-green plumage, a distinct facial disc, owl-style forward-facing eyes with surrounding discs of specially textured feathers, a large gray beak, short legs, large blue feet, relatively short wings and a short tail. It is the world's only flightless parrot, the world's heaviest parrot, and also is nocturnal, herbivorous, visibly sexually dimorphic in body size, has a low basal metabolic rate, and does not have male parental care. It is the only parrot to have a polygynous lek breeding system. It is also possibly one of the world's longest-living birds, with a reported lifespan of up to 100 years. The anatomy of the kakapo typifies the tendency of bird evolution on oceanic islands. With few predators and abundant food, they exhibit island syndrome development, having a generally robust torso physique at the expense of flight abilities, resulting in reduced shoulder and wing muscles, along with a diminished keel on the sternum. It is critically endangered. The total known population of living individuals is 247 as of 2023. The cockatiel's distinctive crest expresses the animal's emotional state. The crest is dramatically vertical when the cockatiel is startled or excited, gently oblique in its neutral or relaxed state, and flattened close to the head when the animal is angry or defensive. The crest is also held flat but protrudes outward in the back when the cockatiel is trying to appear alluring or flirtatious. When the cockatiel is tired, the crest is seen positioned halfway upwards, with the tip of the crest usually curling upward. Cockatiels are native to Australia, favoring the Australian wetlands, scrublands, and bushlands. They are prized as household pets and companion parrots throughout the world and are relatively easy to breed. As a caged bird, cockatiels are second in popularity only to the budgerigar. Worldwide there are currently 22 cockatiel color mutations established in aviculture, of which 8 are exclusive to Australia. Mutations in captivity have emerged in various colors, some quite different from those observed in nature. Palm cockatoo has a unique territorial display where the bird drums with a large stick or seed pod against a dead bough or tree, creating a loud noise that can be heard up to 100 meters away. Although this drumming behavior was discovered over 3 decades ago, the reason why palm cockatoos drum is still a mystery. One reason could be that females can assess the durability of the nesting hollow by the resonance of the drumming. Another possibility could be that males drum to mark their territory against other males. It is an unusual bird, being an ancient species and one of the few bird species known to use tools. Palm cockatoos only lay 1 egg every second year and have one of the lowest breeding success rates reported for any species of parrot. It often feeds during the early hours of the day on a diet that consists mostly of wild-growing pandanus palm fruit and nuts from the canary tree. Sulfur-crested cockatoos' distinctive raucous calls can be very loud, which is a result of an adaptation in order to travel through the forest environments in which they live. These birds are naturally curious, as well as very intelligent. They have adapted very well to European settlement in Australia and live in many urban areas. Being intelligent, in Sydney, they have learned how to open garbage bins as a source of food. The behavior spreads among the birds by imitation. Species that feed on the ground are very vulnerable to predator attack. The cockatoo has evolved a behavioral adaptation to protect against this. Whenever there is a flock on the ground, there is at least one high up in a tree, keeping guard. In some parts of Australia, they can be very numerous, and may cause damage to cereal and fruit crops and newly planted tree seedlings, as well as soft timber on houses and outdoor furniture. Consequently, they are sometimes shot or poisoned as pests. The monk parakeet and the cliff parrot are the only two parrot species that build a stick nest in a tree, rather than using a hole in a tree. The monk parrot is a gregarious species which often breeds colonially, building a single large nest with separate entrances for each pair. Unusually for a parrot, monk parakeet pairs occasionally have helper individuals, often grown offspring, which assist with feeding the young. They are highly intelligent, social birds. Those kept as pets routinely develop vocabularies of scores of words and phrases. Due to this early speaking ability, it is overtaking the cockatiel as the favorite bird to teach to talk. Little is known about the behavior and activities of the gray parrot in the wild. In addition to a lack of research funding, it can be particularly difficult to study these birds in wild situations due to their status as prey animals, which leads them to have rather secretive personalities. It has been shown that wild greys may also imitate a wide variety of sounds they hear, much like their captive relatives. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, 2 greys sound recorded while roosting reportedly had a repertoire of over 200 different calls, including 9 imitations of other wild bird songs and one of a bat. Humans are by far the largest threat to wild gray populations. Between 1994 and 2003, more than 359,000 gray parrots were traded on the international market. Mortality rates are extremely high between the time they are captured and they reach the market. The golden parakeet plumage is mostly bright yellow, hence its common name, but it also possesses green remiges. It lives in the drier, upland rainforests in Amazonian Brazil, and is threatened by deforestation and flooding, and also by the now illegal trapping of wild individuals for the pet trade. Its breeding system is almost unique amongst parrots, as pairs are aided by a number of helpers which aid in the raising of the young. This behavior is less common with parakeets in captivity, which often abandon their young after 3 weeks. The hyacinth macaw is a parrot native to Central and Eastern South America. With a length of about 1 meter, it is longer than any other species of parrot. Habitat loss and the trapping of wild birds for the pet trade have taken a heavy toll on their population in the wild, so the species is classified as vulnerable on the International Union for Conservation of Nature's Red List. They are very even-tempered and can be calmer than other macaws. Also, limited tool use has been observed in both wild and captive hyacinth macaws. They are often observed flying in pairs, especially during their daily activities. This behavior reinforces their social bonds and may provide mutual protection during flight. As seed dispersers, they contribute to the regeneration of forests by spreading the seeds of the nuts they consume. This makes them important for maintaining the biodiversity of their native habitats. The vibrant and varied colors of parrots serve multiple purposes, reflecting a combination of evolutionary, ecological, and social factors. While it might seem counterintuitive given their bright colors, parrots' plumage can serve as effective camouflage in their natural habitats. In dense, colorful foliage, the diverse hues and patterns of their feathers help them blend in, making it difficult for predators to spot them. Parrots are highly social birds, and their colors play a crucial role in communication within flocks. Different postures, movements and color displays may convey information about dominance, submission, or a variety of other social signals. Scarlet macaws communicate primarily through raucous honks. However, vocal communication is highly variable, and captive macaws are known to be adept mimics of human speech. Like its relative the blue and yellow macaw, the scarlet macaw is a popular bird in aviculture as a result of its striking plumage. Spix's macaw has been completely extirpated from its natural range, and following a several-year survey, International Union for Conservation of Nature officially declared it extinct in the wild in 2019. The bird is a medium-sized parrot, smaller than most of the large macaws. It had a very restricted natural habitat due to its dependence on the tree for nesting, feeding and roosting. It feeds primarily on seeds and nuts. Due to deforestation in its limited range and specialized habitat, the bird was rare in the wild throughout the 20th century. It has always been very rare in captivity, partly due to the remoteness of its natural range. Red-bellied macaws make reedy, high-pitched screams. They roost communally in the moriche palms, and large numbers can be seen at the roost sites at dawn and dusk. They choose large stands of these palms that have an overabundance of woodpecker holes as roosting sites. They sleep communally in these groups of hollows depending on the size of the hollow. Between 5 and 10 birds sleep together. As dusk approaches, they all pile into these dormitories and sleep shoulder to shoulder. The dodo wasn't the only unique bird to evolve on Mauritius. While about 8 other endemic bird species still survive today, there were at least twice that many before the arrival of humans in the late 60th century, including the broad-billed parrot. Unusually for a parrot, it had a high degree of sexual dimorphism, with males being significantly bigger than females. Many images depict it as entirely black or blue-gray, but this seems to be based on a misinterpretation. More recent translations of Old Dutch descriptions suggest it was actually much more colorful, with a red beak, blue head and reddish body. It had a proportionally big head and a flattened skull, and seems to have had a highly specialized diet, using its large strong beak to crack open hard seeds and nuts like modern hyacinth macaws. The red-breasted pygmy parrot's natural habitat is the boreal forests, subtropical or tropical dry forests and moist lowland forests of the Maluku Islands. As their name suggests, the pygmy parrots are the smallest genus of all parrots, with distribution confined to islands off Southeast Asia. This particular species is found at higher altitudes than other pygmy parrots, and uses trees rather than arboreal termite nests as breeding sites. The global population size has not been quantified, but the species is reported to be common to uncommon due to deforestation and habitat lost on this limited range. It is best to study these birds in their natural habitat because they do not thrive in captivity. The origin of the budgerigar's name is unclear. First recorded in 1805, budgerigars are popular pets around the world due to their small size, low cost, and ability to mimic human speech. They are likely the third most popular pet in the world, after the domesticated dog and cat. Budgies are nomadic flock parakeets that have been bred in captivity since the 19th century. In both captivity and the wild, budgerigars breed opportunistically and in pairs. They are found wild throughout the drier parts of Australia, where they have survived harsh inland conditions for over 5 million years. Their success can be attributed to a nomadic lifestyle and their ability to breed while on the move. The upper half of their beaks is taller than the bottom half, covering the bottom when closed. They are social animals and require stimulation in the shape of toys and interaction with humans or with other budgerigars. Budgerigars, and especially females, will chew material such as wood. When a budgerigar feels threatened, it will try to perch as high as possible and to bring its feathers close against its body in order to appear thinner. Coconut lorikeet have on the tip of their specialized tongue a small brush, which is actually the tongue's extended papillae. With the help of the tongue, they are able to feed on nectar and pollen from flowers. They are monogamous birds, choosing only one partner for their whole life. They are diurnal birds living in very large bands. In the evening, they join their fellows in a dormitory tree. These birds may breed throughout most of year, depending on the region. Usually they breed in the spring, from July to December. The species occupies a wide range of lowland and wooded hill habitats, including mangroves, rainforest, swamps, savanna and woodland. It also occupies human-modified areas including coconut plantations, gardens, agricultural land and disturbed forest. The rosy-faced lovebirds are very social animals and often congregate in small groups in the wild. They eat throughout the day and take frequent baths. Coloration can vary widely among populations. Plumage is identical in males and females. Lovebirds are renowned for their sleep position in which they sit side by side and turn their faces in towards each other. Also, females are well noted to tear raw materials into long strips, twisty-tie them onto their backs, and fly substantial distances back to make a nest. These birds are common in the pet industry.